In the last episode, I talked about the aftermath, and it's been 2 months now. Yeah, pretty close. And I finally started getting like my creativity back and my energy back and my focus back. And my dad had said something to me when this first happened. He said that, there's going to be a point where you want to know really what happened. And I said, I've surrendered to just not knowing. I'm never going to know the truth. My voice is a little scratchy. I've been recording all day, which is great. Like I said, my desire to create has come back. And it was maybe last week. I had not been in contact with her for a few weeks. Well, really for the past couple months. But I did contact her and I did say to her that I wanted to know what really happened to the baby because it was super real for me. I think that doing these things, it takes a lot for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna talk about this. And then I think I'm ready. And then I start and I'm just like, ah, shit. Yeah, I mean, no matter what, in my mind, it was real. And in my life, it was real. My decisions reflected that it was very real to me. I mean, I'm in Costa Rica, so it was very real to me. It was hard for me to mourn the loss because I didn't really know what that looked like. Because if I mourn the loss of a baby that never existed, I feel schizophrenic. Having a conversation with a hologram of a ghost. That's some meta ghost shit right there. Man, my voice is sore from recording all day. And so I'd reach out to her and I said, can I have the medical records? Because she told me that the baby died in the assault. And I questioned if the assault was real. And her sister told me it was real. But again, what the hell do I know? They get all in on it. And she's like, yeah, I'll get you the medical records. I have to get them on Sunday. This was weeks ago. And Sunday passed, and then another Sunday passed, and another Sunday passed. And so finally I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I haven't really asked you for anything. I've been kind to you through this whole thing. I just want this one thing. I want to know. I just want to know. And she gave me some bullshit excuse of, why do you want to know now? And I just a bunch of avoidant shit. I don't need to get into the details. It's actually not that interesting, but just the runaround. And maybe after 6 or 7 back and forths, I didn't really want to be talking with her because I don't really want anything to do with her because I only want to surround myself with respectable people. And I'm I deserve to know. I deserve to know. She wasn't directly saying no, but she was not complying. And I told her, I said, I was like, you know how tenacious I am. If I have to spend every moment, every dollar, all of my energy to figure out what happened, I'm going to. I will reach out to your friends, your family. I will seduce your doctor. I will take you to court for extortion. Not because I want anything from you. I don't even need to win. I don't care. I just want you in a position where you have to tell the truth. And she said to me, you're really going to spend your whole life trying to figure it out? I said, no, I will spend the next 10 lifetimes trying to figure it out. Because it meant a lot to me. Fuck. Why am I getting punished for giving a shit? That it's just, it's wild to me. I think the court thing scared her. It was all over text. So tonality gets lost. And she's like, all right, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what really happened. But you have to promise not to judge me, all that shit. And seriously, really? You're going to tell me, but first I need to do a favor for you? Whatever. And I was like, yeah, fine. So I see her writing and then erasing and writing and erasing. You know how it goes. She told me this. I'm actually going to read it to you. This is actually the first time I've read this out loud. I lied to you. I lied to you believing it was the best thing to see you again. I've always had a great time with you and I really loved you very much. I want you to know my intention was never to get pregnant. If I accept that, I would have liked to give you a child. But when you were in Hako for the first time, I did take contraceptives. The first pregnancy test I took when I was 5 days late, it came out positive. It was a home test, but I never went to the doctor. I always lied about going just because I couldn't believe it was true. Then I had another test when I was 15 days late, but that one came back negative. I never went to the doctor. I only thought of telling you and thinking that I was pregnant because my period never came. To this day, my period still has not come. Forgive me for not telling the truth. I did not know what was going through my head at the time. That's why when I was in Hako and I asked you to go see the doctor, it was because I was very confused to see why my period still hadn't come. Until the day we went to the doctor and he told us that the 2 blood tests came out negative. It was then that I knew that I was not really pregnant. But before that, I wasn't sure if I was or not. And I just said yes. I don't really know why. Forgive me for making you lose your life in the US. Forgive me for making you worry about me. And forgive me for making you spend all that money. And forgive me for ruining your happiness. Now you can make the decision if you want to take me to court. If you want to, okay, you have every right. I think it's the least that I deserve. Couple things. One, I told her, I'm like, I'm not going to do anything to hurt you. Like, that's stupid. Like, I'm not in charge of karma. Like, that's God's job. That ain't my job. My job is to go throughout life and be the type of human that my parents would be proud of, the type of human that if exposed to the entire world, I would be proud of. So like, I'm not going to take you to court. I just wanted the fucking truth. Like, goddamn. When she sent me this felt like it was true, although still full of shit. 5 days late, bullshit, because she told me 12 weeks out. So that was not true. The second one that she took 15 days late, also not true, because she had not had her period for a couple months. And I have pictures of both of those pregnancy tests and they both say that she's pregnant. So she faked something. So basically, none of it was true. And just as I started to like get my like feelings back, now it started a whole other thing, and it's fuck me. And there's a part of me that wishes that she would have hustled me for something. Like if she, you know what I mean? Like she'd have gotten 20 grand from me or something. I'd appreciated that, because then it would make sense. Then I could see why she did that. Like there was a motive. She didn't get anything out of it. Violence with motive and like evil with motive at least makes sense, you know? But with like no motive and nothing to gain, that's a whole nother level of shit that my brain just doesn't get. So like, how do I mourn something that never actually existed in the first place? It's like a 6-year-old mourning the death of an imaginary friend. Okay for a 6-year-old, but I'm a little bit older than that. So seems weird. Found this out like in the morning of a weekday. And then I had like a meeting about a system that I was creating or that I was having be created. And we did like a review of it, and it was terrible. It sucked so bad. It was in a couple of my team members, and I looked at it and I was already not in a great mood. I like looked at the system and I was like, this is terrible. This is bad. This is embarrassing. The reason it was bad is because they built it without consulting me, and they didn't consult me because I was too busy laying on the couch with my knees up to my chest, contemplating the meaning of life and having to recalibrate the next 5 years of my life, which I had already planned out because I was excited to have a family. So yeah, it sucked, but it was the byproduct of me just not showing up, which was a byproduct of me getting the shit kicked out of me emotionally, which ultimately is like my responsibility. So I feel like shit. Then I have a conversation with one of my team members about that. And I gotta have like a clearing conversation and shit like that. And it's like more draining. And then the manager of the other team member wants to have a clearing conversation with me about that. So I gotta have another fucking conversation. And like, yeah, like they should have done better, right? But ultimately, I'm the architect of the system. Like that's in my role. I was able to do it and I didn't, because I was like taking care of me. Then I'm in another meeting, and it's like another byproduct of me taking a couple weeks off. It's just like, it was so painful. And I take responsibility, but like, I'm not going to apologize. Like, I got hit by a truck. Like, what the fuck you want me to do? So I'm just like telling everybody like, hey, relax. Like we're playing a long game here. Like the sky's not falling. It's just shit's fucked up right now. And it's on me. And I'm responsible. And I'm doing my best here. Never in my 38 years have I ever had to like ask for permission because I'm not having a good day. It's never happened. And this, I don't know to you who's listening, like if this seems like a big deal, but it's a big deal relative to like expectation and desire, you know? Cause fuck, man, like most guys, they were like, we're going to have a baby and then they're not going to have a baby. Yeah, they're ecstatic. But again, that's not their vision. And like, fuck, it's legit the only thing that I want. So then that meeting went bad. And then I had a marketing meeting and I was like, hey, we need to get this email out tomorrow. And then one of my team members was like, why the fire drill, bro? And like a part of me just wanted to tear into him. But instead I was like calm and objective, but also like was like, well, let me show you my day. Let me show you my past days. Let me show you all the shit that's backed up on me because of all this stuff. Oh, and by the way, read this. I got sent this today, which was what I read for you. And then I had a meeting with my sales team and they're just like, where's your marketing, Spence? We haven't you need to get your face out there. And I'm just like, oh my God, holy fuck. I'm like, I don't feel like talking to anybody. I'm ignoring calls from my family because I just don't want to fucking talk about this anymore. But I also don't want to do anything else. Like, leave me the fuck alone. But they're, one of the best sales teams in the industry. These guys do like fucking million a month. And so like the pressure's on. And so I just got my ass kicked again. And then the owner of the sales company wants to have a conversation with me. Now keep in mind that they also hired me to do some like super high level, super expensive enterprise shit in building their systems as well. They've got a complex business. There's 60, 70 team members and just like a bunch of divisions. And it's seriously like 5 companies in one. It's complex, right? But I think I'm killing it because like, come on, it's like workflow shit. Like I'm the boss. But at this point, like, I have no confidence. So I'm like, oh, great. Like at the end of my day, I'm just going to get my ass reamed by these guys. And maybe they're going to tell me like, you're not doing good enough as a client. You're not doing good enough as like someone that they hired to do stuff. And I'm just like, shit. They have a conversation with me, and it's interesting because the conversation they had with me was the conversation that I ended up having with a couple other separate conversations with my other team members. And I was just to a point where I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be in all these fucking meetings. I just want to be on video. I just want to train my enterprise clients. I just want to do my coaching. I don't want to like fucking marketing strategies. Are you fucking serious? Keyword research. Messaging, just like press record and put it on my face. Just let me talk. Like, Jesus, give me a problem. Tell me why it's not working and then get the fuck out of my way and just like, let me do my genius shit. I don't want to do all this other shit. So I get on the call and they're like, hey, Spence, we want to talk to you about strategy. It's like, yeah, right. And the long and short of it is they shared with me that, they're impressed with my work and they want to be equity partners, and all the shit that I don't want to do, their company would take over and we would merge together, and then I could do whatever I want to do because everything else would be taken care of. And I've been like waiting for a conversation with with a company like that for, oh my God, 12 years. It's like a musician getting signed by Interscope. Through all of this, where like my confidence is shit because my performance based on my expectation of myself and what I know to be true, the disparity between that is so much, which it's never been before in my life. And like, I literally have all of the resources. I have the team. I've got the systems. I got everything to the point where it's like, okay, everybody can do anything that you want. So what do you want to do? And to be honest with you, over the next couple days, I started to realize at least one bit of value in this whole thing. I've never been so overwhelmed to the point where I feel like broken. And this time I was. So I actually got to see what annoyed me. Because typically I just like plow. You know what I mean? It's like I get through it. Because I give a shit so much about everybody else. I give a shit about my clients. I give a shit about my audience. I give a shit about my team. I give a shit about my friends. I give a shit about my family and all that stuff. So like before when I got annoyed, it was like, it didn't matter because the level of annoyance and like what mattered to me relative to how much I wanted to serve them, I wanted to serve them so much more that it annoyed me. So I didn't give a shit. But at this, like my insides was like, fuck everybody. Fuck all that. I got to take care of me. And I realized that I have not done that on a macro scale in a really long time. I have moments of it, like I'll, take a month to go travel and shit like that and selfish shit like that. Spoil myself a little razzle dazzle, whatever. But in terms of like vision, it's always like perpetuating the love for others. And I realized when they asked me the question, like, okay, if we can do everything else, then what do you want to do? And I didn't have the answer to that. I have no responsibilities attached to me. I don't have any other partners. Like, I don't owe anything to anybody. Like, I don't have a family or a kid. Like, I literally have a blank canvas and all of the opportunity in the world. And like, what do I want to do? Like, I worked my entire life to get to the point where I can do what I want to do. That magical vision that I spent in so many retreats and so many medicine journeys and all of that. And if you've been in any mastermind, you go through the situation is like 1 year from now, you are the best version of yourself. You're sitting in the beach with your toes in the sand, the breeze on your face, Mai Tai in your hand. The beautiful sun is shining. You're sitting under the shade of a palm tree. Life is exactly the way that you want it to be. What is it that your future self says to you? And I recalled this exercise of like this fantasy, this vision of like making it. And then I look outside and all that shit's in my backyard. The Mai Tais, palm trees, the sand, the sun. And like, look at my face. You might be listening on a podcast audio, but like, I'm pale as shit. I literally built the dream, made it happen, and I'm still sitting in the house all fucking day, in meetings, solving problems, talking about fucking tech in Zaps, in email organization. Like, seriously? Really? I'm a blind dick, like, to me, constantly trying and scheming to build something bigger than myself for everybody else. And the thing that I wanted, minus like the baby and shit, like, of course, but like the dream life, the way that you would like draw it on a vision board or whatever dumb shit, vision boards. I mean, I'm just bitter. Is right in front of me. And like, I'm still like doing the dumb shit. I've spent so much time preparing to level up that I didn't realize that it already happened. Like I crossed the finish line. It's like 2 miles down the road and I'm still running with vigor. You know what I mean? Like an idiot. Like, no, it's done. Like rest until the next thing. And I was just so consumed of like everything else. And the thing is like clients and the team and stuff like that. Yeah, I was like getting close to the end where I'd be able to like kick back and like finally like live the way that I want to this next scene. But then like the girl and the baby and all that stuff. So like I just transferred all that attention from that into my potential family. And then that got ripped away from me. And then the little bit that was required from my business, like I couldn't give. And then that backed up. And so then that backed up. So I was like, fuck, I got to give that attention. Meanwhile, like I'm being ignored the entire time by me and a lot by others too. Not completely, but like somewhat. And I think to myself, like, why did I build this thing? Why? Like, why? Why all the workflow shit? Why all the system shit? Why all the precise language shit? Why all the identity shit? Like, why? Why did I hire everybody? Why did I do all of the roles and responsibilities and the KPIs and it's just all that? I built that so I could have impact without having to run it. So there were things in place so I didn't have to run it, but I could still have the same effect. It's already done, bro. And now I realize that I'm like working to avoid myself. And honestly, like this is all I want to do. Give me some precise language sessions. Let me shoot some podcasts. Let me do some like deep level coaching. Let me solve some problems. You know, let's just that stuff. Like meetings, seriously? Talk about a fucking funnel? Ugh. My God. Facebook group strategy? Ugh. Keyword research? Ugh. Descriptions in YouTube videos? Ugh. Gross. Literally fucking gross. I do not want to deal with that. Let me just be a genius and love the fuck out of people. Like, God, is that too much to ask? Do I not fucking deserve it? Seriously. And finally, I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I do deserve it. And that doesn't mean like be a dick to everybody. Like I can't help but do all of that other stuff. I caring for people and employing a lot of people and serving the clients. Like, no, I just don't like the little shit that comes with the administrative shit, the shit that I had to do like in school. It's like why I failed like every level of school after second grade. Before second grade, letters, art, recess, I crushed. You know, as soon as we got into like grammar and shit. I was in a conversation today with one of my enterprise clients. And with like the enterprise clients, you don't deal with the CEO too much. You deal, because like I'm usually cleaning up a department. Because yeah, on the enterprise level, you're not like doing the whole business because it's too much change at one time. I mean, I can do that, but it's not smart to do that. It's good to like fix like the weakest department and then go in and fix like the internal hub of operations. But I was talking to the CEO of one of my clients. He was sharing with me his concerns and he's like, the business is growing so fast and the departments aren't talking to each other properly. And he had shared with me, he's like, it moves so fast and it's grown so much that it's difficult for me to know really like what I should pay attention to every day. And what I share with him is that what's so difficult about being a business owner is that when you start out, you're the chief cook and bottle washer, right? You're everything. You're doing all the things, answering all the emails, setting up all the zaps, doing all the web pages, all that shit. Then you get yourself a VA. You're like, admin shit, done. So it's not like your job changes, but it does, actually it does a little bit because now you've got to like delegate. And now your role goes from like being someone who does all the shit to someone who does all the shit and delegates. And then like you hire a couple other people and now you're leading a team, which is a little bit deeper than delegating. So now you're playing a leadership role. And then you start like having departments. And so like the thing is like every time you level up, you're creating like you're getting rid of old responsibilities, which like that's what you think when you're like, you know, as you're like getting bigger as a CEO. Well, what you don't understand is you have a new set of responsibilities. You have worked yourself out of an old job and into a brand new job of which you have never done before. And just like when you go from middle school to high school to college, and college into the real world, when you're a senior, you feel like on top of the world. You figured out life, but then you become a freshman on the next level and you're like, I don't fucking know anything. And that's what it's like. And so like the identity shift that comes from leveling up is the hardest thing. Systems, really? You think ClickUp's your problem? You think that meetings are your problem? You think onboarding is your problem? Well, guess what? It probably is. But you want to know what's way worse once you figure that out is the identity shift. And here's the thing. It's a chicken and the egg problem. It is once I get there, once I get to that place, I'll feel like that person. Nah, it's not how it works. Once you identify as that person, you will then get to that level. And that makes you feel crazy because you're not that person yet, or at least your physical environment and evidence doesn't prove that you're that person yet. So now you, who has created something very successful on the level that you're at, has to behave like a fraud. That's what your brain tells you. You're not that person. Of course you're not that person. If you were that person, then life would look like this. Yes, but once you realize you are that person, your life will look like that. But it's difficult to feel like that person unless your life looks like that. Fuck. And as you get more successful, it gets way more uncomfortable being uncertain about yourself. Because again, you're just like, you're looking back, you're like, I was prom king in this bitch. And now I'm a nobody? Now, like, I don't know my way around campus? Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's why, like, when people were talking to me about, like, the workflow podcast and talking about the 3 simple steps for you to blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, you don't fucking get it. You do not fucking get it. If I'm sitting here talking about the top 10 reasons or the top 10 tech tips that you can use to get more efficient and more out of your day, that's some amateur shit. That is amateur shit. That is for people that are looking for answers that want to be entrepreneurs. There ain't nothing wrong with it, by the way. Nothing wrong with it. And like, and the, Brain Jam Facebook group, I'll show you that shit. But in terms of like podcasts, like conversations, like it's just not about that. And so I refuse to put my efforts towards that. Like it's about the story. It's about the story that you create. Now, I had a conversation with a friend and she's a great marketer, like someone that I admire her style. And it's like her as a human in general. and a like professional. And I was kind of like telling her the story and all of that stuff. And like we've known each other for a while, but not like on its like super deep level. We've done some like little collaborations here and there. And I was telling the story and I was picking her brain on just like, what's the mindset of when you're just like constantly producing content and marketing? Because like I've just been the nerd behind the computer, just click clack and solving problems. When like this next level for me is just like this is what I want to do. And I had like told her the rough elements of this story, and she's like, you should share that. I'm like, fuck yeah. She's like, well, if you're comfortable, it's like I don't know how much you want to share. And I'm like, oh, I'm an oversharer of like everything. Ask my mom. She'll tell you it's quite uncomfortable for her sometimes. And I had said something like, yeah, I share like the details of everything. But one thing like I don't do is like, I don't really ever like flex on social media. I've done some real cool shit. I was an international bodybuilder. I started my first fitness company when I was 17. I've written 3 books in the fitness industry. And I've written 1 book in the dating and romance industry. And I've had 1 book written about me, a biography written on me about when I was a dating and sex expert, what it was like to be with a dating and sex expert, like be with. I have created underground cannabis-infused fine dining experiences that still run to this day. I started that years ago. I have the #1 video on YouTube on how to make marijuana brownies. I've been building custom CRM since 2002. I started virtual personal training in 2001, way before my time. I spent 9 months regionally touring as a rock star playing guitar. I've almost died, maybe like, I'd say like 5 times. I've been so broke that I had to borrow money from my dog. That's a real story. I mean, I literally started as a dating and sex expert with no education, no money, no credentials, no clients, no claim to fame, no anything, and like made it a real thing. I've held healing retreats internationally where I rewire people's minds to heal themselves. Everything from relationships of father and son to literal hemorrhoids. Yes, using only language, healed hemorrhoids. I've been in some crazy relationships. Crazy. Before it was actually like cool, the whole polyamory thing. I was in probably 5 or 6 triad relationships in like 2013, 2014, 2015. I've done book tours. I've led medicine journeys. I got so many great freaking stories of like awesome shit that I did that I never talk about. Never. Oh, and I also run like a really successful business too, and have helped tons of people run successful businesses and like amplify and scale their success. I was a fitness model for a little while. Oh, I was a child model until I bought my first car from the money I made when I was a kid. I was in a gifted program for kids with genius IQs. I was in a gifted program for kids with artistic abilities, a lot of stuff. And she says to me, she's like, I didn't know any of this stuff. And I went into a little bit more detail with her, just a little bit. And she's like, honestly, like, I want to hear that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Yes, I should. And so, these podcasts are not just going to be about me bitching about how my privileged life sucks. I mean, it's good balance, right? No, but I want to tell you a story of like the fundamental pieces that have allowed me to create 100 years worth of stories in only 38 years of living. And I'm more comfortable sharing. Am I blushing? Is this real? Yeah, it's happening, Spence. Real life. It's more comfortable for me to share the vulnerability than it is for me to share the wins. But this is me stepping outside my comfort zone. And because the value of the story is there's like principles and frameworks that interlace amongst all of those stories that make me an incredible alchemist, someone who can have a crazy fucking idea and figure out how to like make it all around me. And so I hope you stick around for that because it's gonna be fucking dope. Speaking of stories, I gotta go hop on a plane. Peace. If this video resonated with you and you are ready to scale your growing business, then come join our free Facebook group by clicking the link below.